Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
Would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
First briefing since Hunter was indicted again in Los Angeles. Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon his son.
And one more about the...
You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
His son, Hunter, is also up for being sentenced next month. Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
Does anybody have a harder job than KJP?
Boy, that chick is just the no lady. When she says no, you know it's no, no matter what she says. No, 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 Nanette. Oh, crap.
She's firm on it.
She was very firm. She was very good. She said no. I just said no. The Nancy Reagan of no's. Just say no.
Nope. Wow. Never, ever. No.
You know, it's weird that he's in Africa and they have bad Wi-Fi on the plane. Traditionally, this is not a Biden thing. There's like 12, including the crew. The TV crew, the gaggle of reporters. It's a small group, maybe 6 or 8 in the back with bad Wi-Fi. So they're trapped in outer space, and he's not coming back from Africa today. So when he comes back, he's going to have to lay low, Eric, right? I mean, because...
Well, he's good at that. I mean, Biden in the basement's already famous.
Absolutely. He's giving away our money. He's going through Africa like the Pied Piper Jesus figure, giving out millions of dollars to insane African countries while people can't get trailers out of FEMA in North Carolina. I mean, the final insult of insults. I mean, he's literally the Don Rickle of presidents, Hunley.
Yeah, we actually have a fan, the guy who did the coins for us, and he's going through hell. He went through that hurricane. They never knocked on his door. He was one of the people who was overlooked in Florida in that one. And he's contacted FEMA, and they've essentially told him, tough shit, buddy.
Tough shit, buddy. We got to go to Africa and give out some money in Africa. I mean, he's giving out money in Africa, for Christ's sakes. I mean, where is this guy not giving out money other than here? Ukraine, Africa, Eastern Europe, Western Europe. It's astounding how much money this guy has illegally or legally given away.
Well, actually, he might have some competition with the Harris campaign. What are we up to? $3 billion? You
know what? She's still. Funny you mention that. It's 3 weeks from the election. She's still fundraising, legally. I swear to God, still fundraising on the election. Whatever the verbiage is in the fundraising letters, texts, emails, it's still going to her Harris, whatever the guy's name, Waltz's campaign.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess fundraise. Well, we got to make up our shortfall here. I mean,
they have a shortfall, but I mean, I don't know if she's legally responsible personally for the makeup. Now they could pay that off from the DNC or whatever themselves, give her a loan with no interest and no repayment, whatever the hell they could do. They don't think she's going to be responsible for that, but that is kind of weird.
Yeah, well,
regarding the pardon, though, it's kind of interesting, the timing, because the other day when I saw him coming out of that bookstore with that Palestinian, pro-Palestinian book.
Yeah, the 100-year thing or whatever.
Yeah, everyone was focused on the book, but I focused on the fact that Hunter was with him And I said at the time, pardon coming in days. I think either on Twitter or verbally to different associates, because he was with him finalizing the deal. And the White House, some White House source, I don't know if James Rosen or someone else has leaked a White House source that Hunter was threatening him with a tell-all book.
I heard that.
Did you hear that?
I heard that, and I wasn't sure because I thought the timing was interesting. It's like, why this weekend? Now, I could see that this is a pretty good weekend. I would say that Friday night or Saturday night would have been even better for the slowest possible day, dead news, nobody paying attention, nobody caring at all.
Yeah.
But I was like, why now? Why not January 10th? There wouldn't be that much fallout. Why not on the way out the door?
Well, I have an answer to that, because I believe that Hunter wasn't going to take any chances. In other words, if his father said, I'll do it before I leave, when I do all the pardons on January 19th, Hunter said to himself, if that doesn't work, I'm screwed. I ain't taking a chance with this lying sack of shit. That's why he got it 2 months early, Eric, to protect his own ass.
Well, one more reason, because I talked to Nate about it, and Nate said that he was going to be sentenced next week.
Right. Okay. But even with the sentence, the pardon doesn't matter. I mean, he could have delayed sentencing and gotten the pardon later on. That being said, he probably would have done 6 months in jail, if that, for a guy who's never been in jail before. That's not even the point. There's multiple levels to this story. One report is that he's 5.5 years sober. And if that's the case, in that community, in that sober community, you're supposed to do the time for the crime. In other words, part of recovery in the recovery universe is that you have to make restitutions for things you did while you were using drugs and alcohol. And that involves actually having to go to jail. You can't just duck jail by having your dad give you a get out of jail free card. Most people can't do that anyway. But part of the recovery process is to pay your debt to society, if that makes any sense out there to normal people.
I didn't know that.
I know you didn't. That, and not you. Nobody knows that. It's part of the world of recovery. So him going around now claiming he's 5.5 years sober and not doing the time, and it's a minimal amount of time, to make restitution to the outside world for crimes you clearly committed. You pled guilty to them. The manly thing to do was say, thank you very much, Dad, but I'm going to go to jail and do the time because I'm in recovery now. Many parents who are hip to this, who've had interventions done on their children, know that they can't block the jail of their children. This storyline that I am a father, I would have given my son a pardon too, is a crock of shit when it comes to addiction to alcohol and drugs. You want your son to pay the piper for what he did. I remember Martin Sheen going berserk over Charlie Sheen's possible prison sentence, and Martin Sheen being opposed to his son Charlie going to prison. So Charlie ran with drugs and alcohol for another 7 years because his father was pulling all kinds of strings to prevent Charlie Sheen from going to prison. He was socially and politically opposed to it. In the recovery universe, jail is part of recovery. And I'm only mentioning that because the Hunter Biden team is now putting out that he's 5.5 years sober and has yet to do any time or restitution for the crimes he committed while an active alcoholic and addict. And that's an issue. That being said, I mean, they're now switching gears. I don't know if you noticed this. The pardon is now because of Jill Biden. There's been so much blowback that they've switched blowback gears, Hunley, and they have now said that Jill was pushing for the pardon. And let me explain Jill Biden, his stepmother's relationship to Hunter Biden, so people know how much love that Jill Biden and Hunter Biden have for each other. This is from 2022. Hunter Biden blamed First Lady Jill Biden for forcing him to go back to rehab, Eric, calling her a selfish, entitled, see you next Tuesday, a moron, stupid, and vain, after she offered him a house and sent him a loving message. The biting insults were made behind his stepmother's back in text messages on newly uncovered Hunter's cell phone on the abandoned laptop. The vicious verbal attack appears to be over Hunter's family asking him to go back to rehab last winter. Later on, Hunter 52 viciously tore into the first lady behind her back, branding her as vain and a moron. And then he says, Hallie and my idiot stepmother have once again created a drama that forces dad into saying, go away for days and I'll help. But otherwise, I don't trust you're a judgment hunter, the president's son said. And then it's more and more raging against F my stepmother for always being as much of a selfish, silly, entitled cunt as you. He's saying this to Bo's widow, calling her a cunt. So this idea that loving Jill Biden has called for the pardon of Joe's son is in my book, preposterous, but we'll continue.
Well, I mean, Joe did that to himself. Back to what you were talking about serving time, you did make me think of it. There was a guy who worked for my dad who was a general contractor, and I don't know if this was part of it, but we used to have to drop him off at the jail every day at the end of the day. And he would be free. He would like work all day long or whatever. And then he would serve nights and weekends in jail for some amount of time. I forgot what it was.
There's all different ways to skin the cat, but you can't duck out of that part of recovery. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., the only reason he's alive today, and he'll tell you this, is because he did time at Corcoran State Prison in California and got clean inside the prison. There's meetings in prison. Downey, has publicly stated that that's what saved his life, was being sentenced to Corcoran State. That's why we believe, and a lot of people believe, all the people in the recovery field, including RFK Jr., by the way, that prison is part of recovery. You can't just duck out of things that you did while under the influence of drugs and alcohol and get a clean bill of health.
Okay, and a couple points. One reason that they had to change the narrative is Joe's idiotic letter, which was mind-blowing, or her statement about it, which honestly, if you cross the names out and close your eyes, Donald Trump wrote it. I mean, if you said that to anybody, you said, who wrote this? They'd say Donald Trump, because that's exactly what Donald Trump has been saying. Joe Biden literally just said that it's a weaponized Justice Department, everything else, which is mind-blowing.
Is there an AI gaslighting device that we don't know about, Eric?
Well, I don't know if he's got human intelligence, so it's possible.
Right. There's just AI gaslight me a letter that reverses every single thing from the other side that would help me.
I think so, but there's something else that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but there has to be more pardons coming. And
of course.
No, I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because Hunter, he's free and clear, which means there's no jeopardy. You can call Hunter as a witness to any case, and he is required to testify. Required. So look for one for Joe's brother. Look for one for Joe himself, because
there's no way around it. You're correct, Hunley. There's no Fifth Amendment anymore. He can't take the Fifth. Massey and these guys are going to call him to testify before the House. He can't duck the subpoena. He has to testify under oath. If he lies under oath, that's contempt of Congress, which is a jailable offense. Ask your friends who went to jail over that. And why would the Congress now give up on getting to the bottom of this after these people have assembled, these congressional investigators, all of this stuff from whistleblowers and everything else about the Biden crime family? Why now would they give up, now that he cannot duck their questions through the Fifth Amendment? This is like an open field tackle. This is like, just like, a free fire zone. Go get them.
And I hope they do. I mean, this is,
why
here it is, wide open. I think they must do it. They must, because there are other people who are involved. And the blanketness of that pardon was just insane. 11 years.
You're right. It's the broadest pardon since Ford pardoned Nixon.
Yeah,
and broadness. Oh yeah,
and length. How long was? Because I think it was just.
I don't think they put dates in. They just said any crime, anytime, anywhere, anytime. For Nixon, this has specific 11-year window for some reason. I'm not really sure why the 11 years.
I know, which, by the way, is a confession in of itself.
It's like saying,
something happened.
What happened
right about this time to that, instead of just saying his life or whatever. But I mean, he could have killed somebody, and he's clear.
Yeah, that is true. But apparently not. Apparently, the House can go after him. and jail him for contempt of Congress, which I strongly recommend, as do many of our viewers. I'd like to suggest in the chat and in the comment section, if you think the House should go after Hunter Biden for contempt of Congress or lying under oath, or should they let him go because he's an addict and is 5.5 years sober and has a pardon from his father. In the chat, in the comments, you vote, you decide what is the best of the two. Okay, back to the show.
Yeah, and I'm going to answer that for myself, which is you must bring him up there because you need everybody else involved in the corruption he was involved in. We want all the names. Yeah, we know.
Well, would you do the same for James? Would you do the same for James Biden?
Oh, what he better? Yeah, I want him to testify.
Okay.
I want him, hemmed up.
Okay.
Either you get pardoning, Joe, because and by the way, that's an interesting constitutional question.
Yeah,
is if Biden pardons everybody and then Hunter testifies, James testifies, because he won't be in jeopardy anymore if Biden does it, then they will have to tell the truth of everything that they did. But there's no impeachment or anything else.
Well, is he vulnerable criminally to the times that he stole money as vice president of the United States without any protection?
I would think he might be. At
least he might be. He doesn't have presidential immunity. The vice president under Obama does not have presidential immunity.
But he could pardon himself now.
Oh, right. But I'm saying if he doesn't pardon himself.
Yeah,
he would basically be pardoning himself. He'd have to go back and put a date on it, saying the 4 years I was with Obama. Yeah. I mean, 8 years. I mean, the 2 4-year terms. For Obama. He would have to predate that pardon for himself. That would be weird.
Now think about that for a second. How embarrassingly, how devastating
I got a better one for you. I believe, and I will predict to you, that he will sell pardons to random people to make money because there's no more revenue streams for the Biden crime family. I believe, and he would not be the first one to ever do this, but I believe that he will be selling pardons and has already arranged for pardons of random people that don't even know these people who are somehow got together the money necessary to pay the big guy for the pardons. And those pardons will happen on January 20th in the morning, and they will go unnoticed by the media because there'll be so much Trump fanfare that day. Watch for those pardons, because I'm telling you right now, these pardons of these basically unknown people will have found a way to funnel money to the Biden crime family for those pardons, having nothing to do with Hunter Biden. Or maybe it did have something to do with Hunter Biden. I don't really know. Maybe he took a piece of that activity too.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, he's free to do that now. He could be out there doing the recruiting. He's already done it. Kick it up to the big guy.
He may very well be. But Joe Biden will sell pardons. He will be selling pardons.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Clinton sold some pardons personally.
I'd like to get Blagojevich on here. I was listening to him this morning. He was on with Charlie Kirk on the radio side, and he was talking about how he refused to cooperate with Obama and everyone else in the Justice Department and was sentenced to 14 years. The FBI had wiretaps that he was not allowed to use for his own defense. Tape recordings that they wouldn't give him the other side of his own conversations, that they still have. He talked about the FBI doctoring evidence. He talked about an incredible railroading of Blagojevich by the Obama administration. 14 years in prison. I mean, just an incredibly egregious amount of time for a made-up crime. And he said, that's why I empathized with Trump when the lawfare started, because it started with him. This political blowback from the Obama people.
100%. Speaking of pardons, did you check out Viva Barnes this week?
Only the first half.
Okay, I didn't hear all of it, but what I did hear was really cool. I love what Barnes was talking about with pardons. He was recommending using the pardon as legal education. And now that this happens, even better. And he was saying that Donald Trump should be doing like a pardon every day.
Oh, I did hear that.
I thought that was a brilliant idea. Just every single pardon and be like, this person is being pardoned because the prosecutors did this and this with the evidence and they went out of hand.
You
or
could
this
do
is
that
obviously
with the
political.
J6ers, Eric, right? You could take each
J6er. But then they have to wait all that time. I would like to roll it out soon. But I agree. But I just think it would be I love that idea of just every day.
It's a great idea. I have another idea for the chat and the comment section. And this is up to you, do you believe, as I do, and I don't know where Eric stands, on full pardons for all J6ers, not slicing and dicing each case, as was hinted at earlier on that last month, that it wasn't going to be a blanket pardon? Are you for blanket pardons of the J6ers or individual pardons depending on their case? I'll put that out there for the chat and the comment section. It's up to you to decide. Oh, okay. I'm for full on. No,
let me clarify. Like, there was Antifa in there, and the Antifa were actually doing damage to the buildings. I don't necessarily want to immediately pardon them just because they were there that day. There was somebody who did help a cop's eye get taken out. I don't know if that's a cool thing. Somebody who's beating a cop down with something else. I don't know about that. All the tourists, I'm going to call them tourists because there was a people, they're wandering in and whatever. All of them, 100% blanket pardon from day one. Other people who did, property damage, commute. Don't necessarily pardon them. If they did do damage, busting in the buildings, causing major damage, commute their sentence. They've served some time. There's a balance, but I don't think 100% blanket pardon is
okay. Let me be
right, but majority.
That's fair. I'm for 100% blanket pardon of every single person involved in the phony insurrection. So you people in the chat, go ahead, decide what you want to do in the comment section, and it's obviously people feel pretty strongly on both sides. Blanket pardon versus what Hunley was talking about. Okay, what else you got?
Okay. Well, the bars on pardon. Oh, yeah. You sent me this one. Democratic enrollment is dropping in New York.
Oh, that was weird, Eric. Yeah. What a weird story.
Is that because of the actual enrollment itself, or people
I don't know
who are leaving New York and the population is screaming?
I don't know. I couldn't figure that out. Yeah, I thought the same question. Ominous election sign. I mean, how do you unenroll? What do you do? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, you know what? You don't. Okay, here in Virginia, you have to register. Your name kind of falls off.
Right.
I mean, could it be they're just demotivated and they just aren't bothering to register, and then that would cause
they could be culling the actual rolls and doing the legal thing of culling them.
I'm here for that if they are.
Right. Yeah. Again, I don't know, but I thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah, 100%. I think that would be well.
Either way, it's a victory. Either way, it's a victory.
I don't know if you saw this. Our friend Phil is going to be happy because Fani is having a very, very bad day.
Yeah, she's had a lot of bad days. I saw this one. Jury acquits. This is the whatchamacallit trial, right?
The young thug trial that's been going on with all the people, and the guy who the trial was named after, he walked, and his was a weird one. Do you remember what happened there?
I don't even know who Young Thug is, let alone.
He's some rap guy. I've never heard any of his music. He's a rap artist. I think he won a Grammy, which means nothing to me. It's just a thing. But this guy pled guilty or an Alford plea type of thing, where he either said guilty or no contest. Kind of did both.
Yeah.
And then they just said, okay, time served, goodbye.
Oh.
And I mean, he was. We're talking about he pled to the RICO.
Right.
We're talking 20 years, and the judge is like, yeah, goodbye. It's like, wow. And then now these two.
Right.
Are acquitted.
And she's supposed to turn over the evidence in 5 days, right? She's been asked by the judge in the other case to turn over the evidence of Biden administration involvement.
Jack Smith. All communications between her and Jack Smith, which, by the way, that'd be so huge if you can find
if she turns it over, Hunley. If she does that. I'm interested in the Penny case in New York, because that's gone to the jury now. And Barnes was talking about how great the summation was by his counsel to the jury. I guess they had a transcript of it that Barnes put up on Twitter. And he said it was one of the great closing arguments of all time.
I think they asked one question that he thought was the killer. Who would you want to be on the train with?
With you on the F train, yeah. The F train is not the most dangerous line in the city. I'll just put it that way. Surprisingly Queensy, the F train, but who knows? I haven't been on the F train in years. Maybe
I heard it's all changed. According to Joe, he said that it's scary.
Maybe the F train is super dangerous now. But nevertheless, that's going to go to the jury, and we'll see how this liberal jury deals with this case. Again, let me ask people in the chat, in the comment section. I'm having fun with this. Do you think he'll be convicted or acquitted? What do you think, Eric? I don't even know. I don't know.
Well,
what does the chat think? What do the comments think?
My number one issue is he should never, ever, 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 ever have been charged.
That's everyone, not an issue now,
I know, but I'm just saying, everyone who was there, 100% of the witnesses, I have not seen a single person who said, "Oh, he was a bad guy." Everybody who was there, all the witnesses were saying, "He helped us. He saved us. He's a hero." Da da da. There were two other people holding the guy. Penny was, holding him, and two other guys were holding him. They both weren't charged. Coincidentally, they don't look like Daniel Penny. Different color. Wonder why. So that was a racial disparity. Is this a
George Floyd chokehold of 6 minutes? Because the timing on the chokehold is, according to experts, over 6 minutes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The chokehold didn't kill him. He didn't die until the next day. He was responsive. Mm-hmm. So Penny's not even responsible for that. And they've come in and showed that the drugs killed him. He was
sounds familiar, Huntley? Sound familiar?
Yeah, except the only difference is Floyd died while he was there. This guy died much later. So it's like you don't even have the window.
I think Floyd may have died later too, en route and blah, blah, blah. I don't think he died at the site either, Eric. Didn't he die en route to the hospital on the ambulance or some other time?
I'm not an expert. I thought he died.
No, I think
much.
I don't think so. But let me ask you this. Let's say the Pelosi attacker hit Pelosi in the head with a hammer, right? Mm-hmm. And Pelosi's 86 years old and he dies 5 days later. Does the attacker get the death penalty?
Well, probably not, but he definitely be convicted of murder.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
so it's not a question of the fact that he didn't die at the scene. It's a question of murder itself.
Correct, and that's not a great analogy because it's I think it's called the cracked egg defense or whatever, where a person is so weak and vulnerable that it didn't take much to kill him. That doesn't fly. It's still murder, even if you.
I think this guy was a Michael Jackson impersonator.
He was.
Okay, I don't even know why I know that. I just remember from the beginning. There's a time when he does look like Michael Jackson before he went batshit crazy. Apparently, he had felony, outstanding warrant, and everything else like everybody else running around New York.
Well, yeah, he also threatened the hell out of everybody, apparently multiple times. At different instances, like not just that day.
If I may say, and this is completely anecdotal, and this is just the rule of law on the subway system in New York, it's every man for himself. And nobody ever makes a move on anything. And you could see that in the Woody Allen movie where I think it's Sylvester Stallone comes on with Henry Winkler. And they start, it was Stallone and another actor. They come on the subway and they start beating up an old lady with a crutch right next to Woody Allen. And Woody Allen is just reading the newspaper, terrified right next to them, turning the pages of it as they're beating the crap out of an old lady. It was merely a comedy version of what has happened on the subway system as long as I've been alive. It's just every man for himself, even if you see an old lady getting beaten up. This guy, I don't think, was from New York.
It could be, but before we go any further, okay, one thing that we're kind of bad about. So before I even bring him on, because he's here in the background,
okay,
we always start rolling. We bring Rich in and we just start rolling. So we need to introduce Rich.
Yeah, Rich Baris. The people, I think he was voted pollster of the year by the International Academy of Pollsters in Basel, Switzerland, and a steer group of retired pollsters who've moved out of the country to save themselves. Pollster of the Year, the most accurate pollster in the history of the United States. And this goes back to 1887. He's up against some incredible veteran pollsters out of the great state of New Jersey, the Garden State, which apparently now has banned American flags from town hall meetings, weighing in at 169 pounds, former bantamweight champion out of southern New Jersey, now boxing, I believe, out of North Carolina or South Carolina. I'm not sure what state he's battling in. The Italian stallion, the Italian horse himself. Please welcome Rich Baris.
The Nate Silver slaughterer.
How do you like that intro, bro?
Bro, that was one hell of an intro. I'll take it. I was around when George Gallup was learning this thing. You kidding?
That's right. And that was 1885.
I just take a special pill I bought from this gypsy I met in Eastern Europe when I was over there shilling for the Russians. And I stay this young forever, you know?
Wow. You're the most accurate pollster in America. That's the fact. You're here. I mean, we've had you on before. You've never let us down. Your margin of error is 0, which is good for a pollster. Yeah, and you predicted this one quite accurately, Rich.
Yeah, this is. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
Oh, no, I was gonna. That actually led me into one question because I was trying to fight for you to get Real Clear Politics to put you in the lineup there to help balance their numbers out.
Yeah.
Is it possible that these aggregators, I guess you call them, could have? I feel like there should be a penalty. Like this pollster is typically 8 points off, so we're going to say we're going to subtract 4 points every time they put it in because their averages just suck.
Yeah, and just to say, I mean, stay tuned for that. You know, the guys at Real Clear Politics are good guys. You know, stay tuned for that. The fact of the matter is, their average was skewed again by bad data. It would have been accurate had I been in the aggregate between Mark Mitchell and myself. We would have tipped that last minute surge to Harris that was not real in the national popular vote, and Marist coming out with the Harris +4s, the ABCs, the CBSs. That's all garbage. It's not. It was never true. And if we were in there together, you know, this cycle, it would have made their average more accurate. But I don't want to jump the shark here if that's what it's really doing. But I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. But it does look like there will be a more fair gauge, which they kind of started before Eric, you know, like this pollster has an average error in favor of Democrats 95% of the time, or this, right? Or has an error that favors Democrats 95% of the time. Here's how much they're outside of the margin of error favoring this party X number of times. So that's coming. And I hear it's going to be a little bit more, it's going to be more robust. And I think it's important for someone like Real Clear Politics to do it because, number one, they're the OGs. And everyone who's tried to rob their model, their business model, it's not a model in the sense it's an election model, but everyone who's come along to try to rob their business model has always done something extra because they're super smart and they know better. So instead of just averaging the polls, which is the whole concept behind it, we all have, you know, we're all going to be, whether we're trying to be or not, we're all going to be right or wrong a little bit here or a little bit there. So when you average them together, it kind of balances all of that out. So when, you know, Nate Silver comes along and Harry Enton comes along and 538 and all these other averages, and when they tinker with the numbers,
Seltzer out of Iowa, Rich.
Well, but I mean the aggregators themselves, when they come around and they tinker with the numbers, they're screwing the whole concept up, right? So if you look in 538 when Nate ran, I don't care, I don't look anymore on 538, but they do include us now that Nate Silver's gone. I had, the last time I looked 2 years ago, I had an average bias. It said I have a house bias of R+7. And what the problem people need to understand is, but listen to this. This is the kicker. What people never understood, and what, you know, I've been trying to beat a dead horse to explain to them, is that doesn't mean that I'm wrong in favor of Republicans by 7 points. It means I'm being penalized for not being like the other people who overstate Democrat support. So I'm outside the consensus by about 7 points to the right of their little consensus, which they tinker with. And what it really means is they're all wrong. They're 7 points overstating Democratic support. It does. So this has been a major problem. Those guys outside of RCP, those guys have been killing us as an industry because they're scaring pollsters. They're scaring them, and they penalize them for being more accurate if it means being outside of the consensus, and that's wrong.
Rich, is there any way to get some kind of certification for what you guys do based on the accuracy of what you've done previously?
Yeah, exactly. Like a star. It's like have this as a star poster or whatever.
Yeah, something. Anything.
Somebody else is going to have to do that, unfortunately. APOR used to be the authority in our industry. I was really stoked after 2016. One of the biggest problems I had was how little about people's methodologies were ever published. How many media organizations got away with just publishing like a couple page PDF of top line numbers, even if they showed trends dating back to like the 1998 election since they started polling. Who cares? That tells us nothing about how you conducted the poll and whether or not it's a legitimately conducted survey, right? And they came up with the Transparency Initiative. But unfortunately, APOR is a bunch of left-wing hacks. And I wanted to partner with them. I wanted to do it. I sent them the information. They were super happy. They never got back to me. They started rubber stamping a bunch of these other pollsters who were horrible. And the only one that's a good poll that I really know that's in the TI is Emerson, is Spencer over at Emerson College, who's a decent pollster. He did fairly well this year.
How about Atlas? Atlas seems like they're pretty solid.
The problem, I'm going to hold my fire until a little bit. I think that they are pretty solid but look.
Trafalgar, Rich? What about
Trafalgar? Robert's a great guy. Robert's a great guy. Here's my issue with Atlas that concerns me. When you put out a series of states and you say, this is it, final poll announced to be released here. And you have Kamala Harris ahead in, let's say, North Carolina. And then 6 hours later, the People's Pundit releases a poll that shows Trump up by 4 in North Carolina. And then 24 hours later, you say, that wasn't our final poll. Here's the poll. And it shows Trump now up. It concerns me because it tells me they were,
so they went to the Lichtman school.
Likelihood that they were watching what we did. Right. And they heard it and said, I'm not going against People's Pundit.
I hear almost everything you say when I watch Hannity at night. He seems to take everything you say and put it in a show, Rich.
Did you see my wife's tweet the other day? She was furious.
I know.
I don't watch Hannity or listen to him.
Either do I. I'm making a joke.
She, through them, her head, I can see it's ready to explode because these words that we heard this cycle are only because I got more popular. Right. All right. These are words that I literally created, Mark. All right. And you now hear Sean
Tell me about it, Rich. When I hear Mark Levin using my own words and I hear the same thing, I am empathetic towards your wife. Go on.
It's like if you're going to steal my hot takes because you don't have an original thought in your head to come up with one of your own. Yeah. When you that whatever. But if you actually take verbiage or vocabulary that I created, then I want a citation, bitch. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at, brother.
Well, to be honest, I believe it's lower level producers that watch our shows that then write the copy for these guys.
You think so? Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I've seen it too many times. It's not the guy themselves. It's the producers that are trolling, that are scrolling through, watching all of our shows to come. I have seen entire things that Hunley and I have done almost entirely, plus my tweets on evening news shows on the right. And I think now your wife is seeing the same thing. So I don't think it's them. I think it's their overworked staff.
And people like that, I'll buy that for $1. I will. But Dave Wasserman, I literally stopped tweeting on X the days of election, like during election results. Yeah. I stopped because I would put out tweets. I would say something. And then 30 seconds later, David Wasserman would put it out exactly the same thing.
Well, you've got valuable
his way.
Right. You've got valuable numbers that you're putting out there. That's got value. We're just putting out phrases,
Yeah, but honestly, it is it's still, in my opinion, incumbent on them. Like when they hear something that's new, like the term low to no and just no prop voter. Nobody used those vocabulary. Like I literally made it up. The
Didn't
Trump
you
or
have
bust
the Trump
voter.
or bust voter?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now that became a huge thing in New Jersey and New York, and I didn't even know.
Oh,
And there
wow.
are signs all over people's yards in like Egg Harbor and Bergen County and all
Where
these
did you grow up in Southern Jersey or Bergen County?
Well, I'm from the boroughs, but
Right.
then I'm part of that exodus. That's like that Italian exodus into the Jersey burbs.
Yeah.
And I lived in Monmouth for years.
Oh, Monmouth. Okay.
Yeah, by Freehold.
Right. Oh, I know
yeah,
what that is. Of course.
yeah, I went to high school there.
Right.
And then I lived in Ocean County too, though, quite a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, because people go by the shore, and yeah, it is what it is, And
So you were
Lakewood
with
and Howell
Springsteen in
Township.
Asbury Park. You were down there with Springsteen.
My stepmom, who I really
on.
call my mother, right?
Right.
Because she's passed now,
Yeah.
was like a big shot dog shower and groomer.
Yeah.
And she actually used to groom his dog years ago.
No.
Yeah. Bon Jovi, when my dad was like, I respect my dad till the end of time.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing real great in the 80s. There was a time where we did not, and it started falling hard time. Working class. I wasn't born
Yeah.
with a silver spoon in my mouth. You guys know that. He
Right.
worked at this place called the Roadside Diner as a short order cook. It started at like 4 a.m. before his regular job.
Right.
And Bruce Springsteen and Bon
Jovi.
Jovi. Yeah, John would go in there and Richie Sambora. And the cover. Yeah, the cover. I met Richie Sambora at a Guitar Center, I think it was, on Route 9 in Freehold years ago. My friend Jim had bought a very rare Stratocaster. He walks in, he wants to play it. Idiot's looking at his magazine, not even looking up. He's like, "Hey, bro, let me see that. Let me see that axe, man. Sweet axe, bro. Let me see it." And I know it. I know it's Richie. I watched him come in, and I'm like, and he's like, "No, bro, nobody touches my stick." And I'm like, bro, it's Richie Sambora. But the bottom line is, the Roadside Diner is on the cover of Crossroads.
Oh,
The album
weird.
Crossroads.
Okay.
That is them sitting in the Roadside Diner. It's pretty neat.
Now,
Yep.
did you have big hair in the 80s?
I had big hair in the 90s.
Okay.
I
I had a
long
feeling.
hair with
Yeah.
baloney curls.
I
played
knew
Les
it. I
Paul.
knew it, Baris.
Yep. Mhm.
Oh,
I played
wow.
Les Paul. I love rock. Man, I don't know what was my first love. I don't know whether it was.
I sent your wife this story the other day. They busted 5,000 counterfeit Gibson guitars coming in from China in the port of Long Beach.
They ruin everything.
And they came out and said, Gibson came out and said, you can't do this. And I'm thinking, like, why? What do I care if they're making counterfeit Gibson guitars?
What?
Yeah. And then the head of the port of Long Beach, whose name was, this is a woman, Africa Johnson. She came out and said these guitars could catch on fire and burn down your house.
Oh my God, the wiring could be bad with that.
But she was just right. There was nothing specific about them. She was just saying this could happen on the planet Earth. It wasn't about those guitars. And I thought, am I getting a bad guitar if I get a counterfeit Gibson from China? You know what I'm saying, Rich?
Man, that's why. And look, now don't call me a snob. But
Right.
now I'm old enough, I
Yeah.
used to run back in those days.
Yeah.
I ran around with secondhand Les Pauls if I could get a Gibson.
Of course.
The Epiphone started. They had a deal with Gibson, cut a deal with Gibson back then, so you could actually get like a Gibson Epiphone,
Right.
soapbox gold top, or soap bar P90 soap bar gold top, which I loved and I had. But then I got older and I got a 57 gold top, or the 57 style, which was great. And look, I mean, don't call me a snob now, but I'm old enough where if I want a 57 gold top, which is sitting right over there,
Right.
I go to the Gibson Custom Shop and let me get a 57 gold top.
Right.
And I got
I have a Fender Reverb and I also have a pig nose in my bedroom.
Oh
but-
man, there you go. I used to put the stacks behind me. I need to start doing that
You
again.
need to get it together. Now, where are
They're
we?
over there. They're right there. My JCM 800's over there, and my Silver Jubilee's right over there.
Where are we with the pardon in your mind today, as we talk today about the pardon? Where are we in the media zeitgeist right now?
Oh my God. I mean, I really want to pull this for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
And one is because we were going to do it this weekend, but the response rates for another project I was working on were so low. I didn't want to do that to like the public polling project. So I said it can wait a week and we'll start this weekend. this is one, I want to poll it because I wonder how sympathetic some Americans would be to like trying to protect your son from criminal prosecution.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm a dad and I'm thinking, let's be
There we
real.
go.
Would I not do it too? Would I not do it too? Of course I would, probably.
Right.
But
well, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you.
And everybody
what
else.
If you were a dad and your son was an addict and he'd robbed liquor stores and had a reign of terror as an addict, and now you have the ability to pardon him as a judge and you're his father? Okay, yeah, it gets a little tricky. Gets a little tricky, doesn't it, bro?
Yeah, it does, because you know, I you don't want to promote bad behavior and enable, and you know, but at the same time he was facing real time, you know. And here's the kicker though, because that's me being as nice as I can. Because the truth of the matter is, look at the dates. This pardon is something we've never seen before. The dates started from the point when, guys, the Ukrainian prosecutor who he basically bullied to get out of office, he extorted them to kick the prosecutor out of office that was investigating his son. That pardon starts before, just as that all of that criminal activities begins to get underway. So it's not just a pardon of Hunter Biden. This is a pardon of his brother, himself. All right, because now Hunter can be brought before Congress and he can't take the fifth. But we all know that.
Wait. But his brother's going to need it. His brother is going to need his own pardon. I mean,
yes, he will.
I'm telling you,
so will Joe.
And himself.
So will Joe.
Let's
Rich.
get real. And himself. Right. This. I really want to be a fly on the wall. You know, in that meeting that Trump had with Biden at the White House, they came out looking chummy, and I wonder if this subject came up. Like, look, are you going to come after my kid? Or are you going to come after me? Because you know, Trump is very Trump is, guys. You know, it's not that Trump won't. You know, if he's the biggest counterpuncher of all time, if you come at him, he's going to hurt you. You know, I mean, he's going to put the hurt on you, but he's also very transactional. And it's like, look, if you're willing to like get the hell out of the way, not bust my balls the way he did last time, then maybe I'll let your son go. You know, maybe if you happen to pardon him, I'll look the other way with some of your brother's stuff and your stuff. Right. So I can maybe see that happening. The problem is, guys, Richard Nixon didn't get a pardon this good. I'm serious.
That's right.
Richard Nixon did not get a pardon. He was the president of the United States, and
he didn't have dates on it like this one does, so maybe
this is incredible. This is
might
incredible.
Be a little better.
I pardon my son from this date. Let me check the date. I made him a bag man for me. Oh, there it is. Yeah. From this date to, you know, come on. And it's not,
and it's so stupid though.
It's like
it's a confession. It's a confession though. Think about it. Why would you do that specific? If you're going to do that, he should have just said 15 years. Just did a round number. But when you do a specific time frame, it's like, well, this is me acknowledging every single thing that went down.
And I think too that with all of the, like I said, I wonder how many will be sympathetic, but I think this one is a bad one because I think Americans are going to he's probably going to leave office with 30% approval. And I really do believe that because
my heart breaks for him. My heart really breaks.
His legacy is destroyed forever.
Let me just switch to the confirmations because we don't have you for that long. Yeah. Does Kash Patel get confirmed?
I think they're going to wheel and deal. He'll do what he has to do. He's going to break some arms. I really think that's going to happen. Pete Hegseth is the one I don't
Does
know.
Pete get confirmed?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
You don't know. You're saying 50-50? I mean, what do you mean you don't know?
Look, Kash Patel, you can say what you want about things he said in the past and but he's eminently qualified for the job. Extremely. They can't make the case that he's not. They can try, but they can't. Pete Hegseth, I do think is qualified. I'm just saying I think they can make a case that he's not qualified. And you know, it's
not overwhelming like
it's not overwhelming like Kash is. For people who don't know, the guy is, and all of the people who are basically liaisons between him and the administration and those agencies loved him. They loved him. They worked very well with him. So he's going to parade a bunch of people.
He worked under Obama too. I mean, it's like he's stretched, through different administrations.
That's
the New York Times has published these 2018 emails from his mom. This is Pete's mom, saying that he should not be around women, and he's is scurrilous. His mom throwing him under the bus, but not. This is from 7 years ago. I don't know how the New York Times somehow got a hold of it and published it yesterday. So that's apparently, we're supposed to believe it because it's the New York Times, but that's now out there in the zeitgeist, Rich, about Pete.
Look, I feel like my mother, I feel like my mom, not my bio mom, the incubator, my actual mom, if there were emails around when I was a young man, probably would have said, stay away from Richard.
Oh, my mother would have thrown me under the bus. No, dude, my mother would have done the same thing. She would have sent them. No.
I mean, Mark, I don't think the American people give a damn about any of this. I think
I'm just saying
about illegal. No, I'm just saying, like, that's the funny thing. I think that's really where we are in this country. Think about the decision that they had to make with everything the media did this year. And they decided, oh, no, we want Trump back. And they did pretty resoundingly, right? So it's like, I just don't want
idea.
wars. Okay.
I just want to ask you, I don't have you that long. The successor for Trump. How do you get, he had 76.9 million votes and she had 74.4. So let's say it's 2.5 million vote difference. What successor on the planet Earth can get the same amount of votes that Trump got in this particular election is question number one. And who can run in his place to follow him after his 4-year lame duck term that would get enough votes to beat someone who got 74.4 million votes who could get the same amount next time, Rich?
I really think right now there's only one person who can run as the successor, the MAGA successor to Donald Trump, who can connect with the different groups of people that really were young voters, non-white voters, and we can go down different, subgroups, sub-demographics of those, and that's J.D. Vance. He's a very talented, I don't want to say politician because it's not. He's a very talented leader. They came after him with the smear machine, and the guy still ended up positive too in our final poll. And I think he'll only get more popular from here.
Let me ask you this then: can he get the same exact amount of votes that Donald Trump just got?
Look,
I don't think he has to.
Yeah,
Eric says he doesn't have to. Okay.
No, let me push back a little because you're talking about,
which I'm just asking questions. Go ahead.
No, but you're talking about, I just thought about it. You're talking about Kamala getting the 74 million votes, right? At least 4 of those million are people who just hate Trump. So the same energy of people supporting Trump
entirely possible.
But I could push back again. I could push back again saying she had a 100-day campaign and was the worst candidate ever and still got 74.
Because they hate votes. Trump. That energy.
74 million.
No, but if you take Trump,
no.
I'm saying, no. I'm saying take Trump out of the equation, and you might have the next election be 65-64.
Right, but I'm saying take Trump out of the equation. That's going to affect J.D. Vance also. So,
well, do you see what I'm saying, Rich? Or am
it may end up very well being the case that you don't have to get that number because some of these people are going to disappear out of the electorate once Donald Trump is not the candidate.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Remember Barack Obama himself
on both sides.
But remember Barack Obama himself was only able to garner, roughly 60 plus mil, a little bit over. Together, him and Romney got 120 roughly, right? And nobody came out for Romney. That was the big problem. He was the case of the missing white voter, especially in the northern Midwest.
You have made the case repeatedly, and I agree with you, that when Trump's not on the ballot, they don't turn out.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm raising the question to you.
Yeah, this is a work in, and it's a work in progress. This is something that's going to have to get done right now. The only person that I can see being successful in an attempt to keep these voters is J.D. Vance.
I have another idea I want to float out. Trump Vance 2028.
Or
Trump Vance 2028 is Trump Jr.
Right. Now I was going to say flip it.
But you can't have him. You can't have him because I'm going to convince him to run for governor. So you can't have.
Okay, no, I'm putting out this. I'm putting out this idea that the last year of his administration, the 4th year, he campaigns with his son and passes the torch to Trump Jr.
I think his son needs political.
It would have to be
Your
the
opinion?
reverse, Mark. It would be
Okay,
Vance,
let's ask
Trump.
the people in the chat, the comment
Vance
section, what they
and
think.
then
This is
Junior.
Trump.
This
Yeah,
is my idea. I'm going with
I
Trump.
think that's too
Vance.
much for the country to swallow back to back. Number
Okay,
one,
all right.
and I also think that I really do. There's a specific. I don't want to blow it because I don't want to blow it out there yet, but I do want Don Jr. to run for office. I'm
That's
feeling
right.
him from
That's
all
right.
ends, from different
That's right.
people,
Right.
and I think that there's a very he could do something very special. And
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I
just
agree
think
with
that
you.
you're
I
going to
agree with
see
you.
the Mid-Atlantic area start to get redder if you continue down the MAGA path.
Yeah.
This party is going to get less white, which is going to make a bunch of people uncomfortable, and they're going to become Democrats. Okay, but that's okay, because it's like, instead of bitching and moaning about how Bergen County cheats for 1.5 every time they lose New Jersey, that's all right, because those people will actually just be voting for you instead.
Is this a working class party now, Rich?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, well, this is the thing, and let's be really clear. I mean, Donald Trump improved with it, like everybody. Like everybody, he did something that no narrative was right. I quote tweeted real clear politics earlier today, because they were showing you how Clinton performed, how Biden performed, and how Harris had performed against different groups, and including women that are white, women with college degrees, women without college degrees. She did not perform any better, unless you're comparing apples to oranges, which people are doing, by the way. She did not perform any better than Clinton or Biden with any of these groups, just even women. She just didn't. And Trump did better with those who don't have a college degree by a little bit, because he added non-white voters who don't have a college degree to that. And he did better still with women than he did in 2020, which bumped them up even a little bit. But over time, it's going to be the case that Republicans in general are going to lose more of the white vote as the white vote gets more. And I hate that word.
Did you get the final numbers of white people for this vote one yet?
Well, I mean, we have estimates and exit polls. I tell people to wait for the voter validated normally. I tell them wait for that. But I'm actually going to caution people to take the co-op study from Harvard, the co-op election project, which is the CEP. Take it, a co-op election study, the CES. Take it and wipe your you-know-what with it. Because their pre-election 70,000+ interviews were trash, and they were using it to push back on people like me. We have real estimates, not just polls, and this is what we show. And guys, they had Trump up barely in Florida, like 4 points, 5 points. He was up 4 in Texas. He was down, I think, in Georgia by a point or something the last time I looked at it before the election. Right before the election. And it's not just based on people who early voted. It was based on people who had, early voted, plus they determined to be, certain voters come that Tuesday. I don't think he carried a single Rust Belt state, now that I'm looking back at it. Bottom line is, it was really bad. They did have him winning Arizona by, I believe, 4. It may have been the closest one they had. Harris winning Nevada by a little over a point. I mean, it's garbage. And
Let me ask you something. How does he get anything done? How does he get anything done in the House with a 1-seat lead, Rich?
This is why,
how does he get anything done? I'm sorry.
I try to stick to the pollster stuff, but I will tell you this, Mark. I can't tell you how many times I privately and publicly tried to make everyone understand. Leave the House alone. Stop nominating people from the House of Representatives. You just took Matt Gaetz out of the 1st congressional district. Now we can't have a special election until April. I told them, and this was before some of these races were called. They did not believe me. I told them,
how about the
Mike
long
Garcia,
counts?
John Duarte, Michelle Steele, they're
Duarte,
all going to lose.
I was just going to ask you about Duarte and Steele. How are these long counts for congressional federal elections in California legal, where they have 30 days to count, but the rest of the country has literally 1 day to count the votes, except in California where it's 30?
This is what timid, moderate republicanism leads to. That was a solidly red state. They allowed it to become a one-party state because they didn't have the you-know-what to fight. They didn't have, and they allowed it to become a blue state. It's getting redder, but a blue state. And when there's one party rule, they can do whatever they want. And Republicans were happy just eating the crumbs off the floor, while Democrats were sitting at the table by themselves, as long as they were allowed to be under the table like a bunch of rats eating crumbs off the floor, And I mean, and look at the state. Look at what happened to the once beautiful Golden State, like the cream of the crop of our country, guys. It's just trash.
Wait a minute, I'm here right now. How dare
It's
you?
third world.
Yeah, that's the whole point. He just
How
made
dare
it right
you?
there.
I mean, Mark lives there.
I live
Exactly.
there. That's the I see what
That
you're
tells you
saying.
everything.
That's outrageous. I don't have to put up with that.
Look,
Look, Rich,
it's
your wife's going
garbage.
to kill me if I don't.
Doing.
Your wife's going to kill me if I don't get rid of you. She says you got stuff to do, garbage to take out, your kids
Christmas
or something.
decorations
I'm not
tonight.
really sure. She's hawking me now about Christmas decorations.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd rather have you stay the entire time, but she has a wrath that
Is she really messaging you? Like, you gotta go?
Rich, you're done. You're done. Get your personal stuff and get out of here. You can't
Give
stay
me
on
one
this
more
shit.
question. Give
Okay.
me one more question.
Let me
here.
check. Let me check for super chats. Anybody?
Do a super
yeah.
chat
Let's do
for
super
Rich.
chat.
Go ahead. Do a couple of supers. Sorry.
Come
Rich.
on, Laura. We'll get to the
She's
reads.
brute. Look,
I just
can't
rented
handle
a truck because we have a ridiculous storage unit. I had to go rent a truck. I had to get the balsam tree.
Mhm.
It's a huge thing. My son was great, though. He helped me. I mean,
How much do you pay for that storage unit, by the way?
It's a 10 by 15 now. We had to upgrade because I had to throw Halloween in there too.
Yeah,
So I want to say it's like $140 a month, something like
You're
that.
killing me. You're killing. I'm paying $190 for a 10 by 10.
Whoa! And by the way, is yours temperature controlled?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is temperature control. And I've got homeless people living in mine, so I charge them rent.
Oh my God!
So it's not that bad.
I was just telling, like, a couple of months ago, I had to go bring something there, and I felt absolutely my heart was just like broken. It wasn't a couple; it was like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
I went there, and I had to throw some remaining stuff in, and there was a family with kids, a little baby in a stroller, and a little like maybe 4 or 5 years old, a baby in the stroller too. You could tell that they had their entire lives in the two units, one on each side of me. And they must have been evicted or something. It was just awful. It just breaks my heart because they didn't look like they were bums. It looked like they were living under Joe Biden. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Nice. Rich, I think I found your Christmas polls.
That's
you can't
funny.
make this stuff up.
That's
I
funny.
love this. Can I get a copy of this?
Sure. You get a T-shirt of that. if you
Oh
want. Are you kidding
my
me?
God. That's
Get a whole line of clothing
fantastic.
out of that.
Oh, that is a T-shirt.
That's your new swag, bro.
I'm a little taller than that. A little taller. And
I
I've
don't
lost
know.
some weight. You see the
I don't know how
jowls.
tall
Come on.
Pasha is.
Photoshop those jowls. Who's that on anyway?
That's
That's
Pasha.
Pasha, one of our followers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does memes for us. He does memes for Viva and Barnes too, quite a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh.
Okay. Let's see. Any questions?
That's
coming
something
in?
I got to think of here. I
Yeah,
need a short clipper. A short clipper.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Okay,
I love
we did
Pasha.
that. We did
I
that.
love that, Pasha.
All right. Now, there's no specific questions for you here, but what do you have planned for the holidays? If we don't
What are
see
you doing, Rich?
I am going to, and I know this may sound just stupid and simple, but I plan on actually enjoying myself every
Like
time a
about
holiday
time.
comes along. What happened 2 years before? I got subpoenaed, had to get on a plane and go testify in
remember.
Kerry Lake
In
trial.
Arizona, right?
Yeah.
How did she lose that race, in your humble opinion, when he took the state by 5?
I think that.
Come on.
I think that it's hard. And look, there are always shenanigans, sure, but I really don't think that was shenanigans. I think that was money. The Republicans the Republicans in the National Republican Senatorial Committee are no better than the Republican Governors Association. They did the same thing to her that they did the first time she ran, that the RGA did to her. They gave her no money. They sent her money to fat ass Larry Hogan from Maryland, who never had a prayer to win that race. By the way, and for the Republican Senatorial Committee out there, stop hiring the Terrence Group. Stop hiring WPA Intel. They're giving you polls showing Hogan is not only could win, but actually winning at one point. There was never a chance that Larry Hogan was going to win that race. It's Maryland, and senatorial elections, or I should say it this way, gubernatorial elections have no predictive value for federal races. He could be the most popular governor in the world. It doesn't matter if a state is robustly partisan the way that Maryland is. Mitt Romney won the governor's election in Massachusetts. You didn't see him carry it against Barack Obama. All right. I could go on and on. Phil Bradenson was a very popular Democrat from Tennessee. Guess what? Marsha Blackburn stomped him. She curb stomped him. All right. It doesn't.
What do you do about Collins and Murkowski up in those two corner states up there?
Look, I'll bully Murkowski out. Murkowski's dirty. I don't know why they don't play hardball with this woman.
What is the deal up there?
Dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Collins and Murkowski, I always think are different. I think Collins is in a Democratic area, and you're never going to get a real Republican there. But Murkowski's in Alaska, which is red. I mean,
guys, Collins is a straight up Maine Republican in the old sense of a Maine Republican. That is what she is. She's not MAGA second congressional district. So there's some like fundamental key issues where she actually is rock solid. Like, look at how she handled Kavanaugh. She did not back down from that. And that was why. What do you make about if you would sit Susan down? Let me just say, if you were to sit her down and say, why would you fight so hard for that, but not these other? It was a bedrock principle of the presumption of innocence, and that you can't mess with someone like a Susan Collins. But she's not a MAGA fire breather. And she lives in not the Haven side of Maine, the Stephen King side of Maine, guys. She lives in the Bush side of Maine. All right. So very different. Two different novels, two different kinds of novels. One's for steamy women whose husband don't know how to do it right anymore. And the other one's for people who like to entertain themselves with like thrillers and mysteries. All right. Two very different states.
What do you hear about Charlie Kirk running for governor of Arizona?
I did not hear that.
You heard it now.
You heard it now, bro. Well, I'm going to get off and I'm going to say, why the hell did I not know you were running for the governor of Arizona? Look, I'll be honest. I'll tell you guys this here.
What?
Laura wants me to run for governor of North Carolina.
I would back that. I've been
asked actually by some people in the party who are more base and who are more MAGA to primary Greg Murphy because he's
like that too.
So I really was considering it this time, but I didn't do it for two reasons. One, I wanted Mark Robinson, a black Republican, to get that nomination. And I didn't think that Republicans, rhinos, were so disgusting that they would actually give that information to Josh Stein, who then gave it to CNN. So everyone understands.
It's CNN, about the porno information.
Yes, because just so everyone understands, the source of that story was not originally Josh Stein, his campaign, or CNN. The source of the story was Republicans who are uncomfortable with a black man running their state. And it's the racist wing of the party, and it's got to go. All right, because it exists, guys. I hate to tell everybody, but it exists. It's the old aristocratic Democrat whose grandpappy fought for slavery, who now is a Republican, a Southern Country Club Republican, still aristocratic in nature, Southern aristocratic in nature, and the party's changing from underneath their feet, and they don't have a home. Wow. And they, it's just disgusting because now the state's got Josh Stein. He's a very dangerous man. He wants to be president. He's a freaking fanatic. For anyone who knows how he rolled as AG in this state, he's a fanatic. So great job. You got rid of the scary black man, and now instead you got a crazy nutcase left-wing Democrat running a red state. Good job.
Who do you see running for the Democrats? Eric Erickson. Who do you see running for the Democrats in the next presidential election?
Look,
is this going to be just like 20 people fighting to the death, Rich? Yeah, I know.
Yes, I do think there's.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Republicans are out there celebrating that they're in the wilderness, and
they're not in the wilderness, bro.
Sometimes when the party is in the wilderness, it's their most dangerous time. Because
like 2016.
Hello. There was an autopsy that said this is the coalition we need, but it was completely wrong about how you actually get that coalition. So because they're so weak and so completely in the wilderness, this guy comes down a freaking escalator out of nowhere, takes over, hits the right nerve, and runs with it all, and he's never let go ever since. All right, Democrats, somebody's going to rise. There are Gretchen Whitmer's out there. She wants to be president. Gavin Newsom, he wants to be president. Josh Shapiro wants to be president. Josh Stein wants to be president. Andy Beshear wants to be president. So, I mean, guys, there's talent out there. It's
Murphy out of New Jersey.
Phil Murphy. And
Phil
it's not
Murphy,
gonna-
bro.
It's not going to be this Pete butt at edge,
No,
kind of nonsense. It will be
Let
serious.
me tell you.
What about Andrew Cuomo?
Andrew Cuomo is another one. Okay, I'm sorry. What happens in 2 years when and if they take back the House and the Senate, Rich?
Complete and total mayhem like last time, and he's just got to roll them.
Yeah,
like he doesn't care. Like he should have done the first time and not worried about being reelected the last time.
Right.
And this is what I'm praying. His son-in-law is not there anymore. Let's get real. Jared was the worst advisor he could have possibly hired. He told him everything wrong. He told him to do everything wrong. I mean, John Ratcliffe's getting ready to leave D&I. He was, maybe I shouldn't spill somebody's business, but the bottom line is you have somebody like Jared Kushner telling the president before the election, don't dump the stuff we know about him in China. Don't tell the American people about this stuff because there are certain lines you don't cross in American politics. You play nice and they'll play nice with you because if we lose dad, they won't unleash lawfare on you. And this is just how it works. These are the rules in this town, Dad. Look what they did to my dad, right? Anyway,
his dad
he
just
lost
got an
and they unleashed
ambassadorship,
lawfare on him anyway.
His dad just got an ambassadorship.
Yeah, well, he got what before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my point is he gave him this horrible advice that they would allow him to kind of just go back to Mar-a-Lago and live his life and they were never going to do that. It was war from the beginning. And it's going to be war to the end. And if they take
What about
back
the
House,
Abraham
they're
Accords,
going to do
Rich?
everything to stop. Well, this is the part of Mark's question. This doesn't, even if they take the House back, that's why he really needs to do everything he can in 2 years domestically. But it doesn't stop him from making some real progress overseas, which he could. I mean, that's what a lot of presidents do when they lose control of Congress. They shift their focus to foreign affairs. Yeah. And which we really need him to do because Biden and Harris, everything up.
But even right now, it's going to be one executive order after another. He can't get anything through the House, Rich.
I mean, well, for now, yeah.
For now,
true.
I'm saying
they
have 100-day. The GOP is bragging about 100-day assault on whatever. 100 days. It's going to be 100 days of executive orders, as far as I could see.
He's got 220 votes right now. John Duarte's done. I don't know if they've called it yet, but I've been telling people for weeks. It's over. John Duarte's finished. Just like I told Kathy Abernathy and all these other geniuses who think they're so smart and Kevin McCarthy's orbit out there in the Central Valley. That's what I told the National Republican Congressional Committee, every schmuck they sent my way. Every time I went to go give a speech out, whether it was from Orange County to Merced to Stanislaus to Madera, blah, 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 blah. Told them all the same thing. John Duarte will lose this seat and Donald Trump will win this area. Okay? He will lose because he is Ukraine first. Being a donor with a somewhat Hispanic sounding last name does not entitle you to their votes just because you got a bunch of them working for you. Okay.
Wasn't he a campaign manager at one time?
No, he's a donor who didn't.
Oh, he's a
like
donor.
the
I'm sorry, I meant a donor.
He was a donor to, and when I say a donor, I don't even mean a big donor. We're talking about
he was a
$5,000.
mid-level donor.
Yeah, $5,000, $10,000 at most. He would give to Devin Nunes and he would give to the committees. He didn't like two things is why John Duarte ran. One, he didn't like the MAGA candidate who was actually running and had the endorsements of almost everybody there. So he never had to get in there and screw up that race, but he did because he's not MAGA. He's a scam artist of a Republican, like so many of the rest of them are. And then just like everyone else in the California Republican Party, he hated Donald Trump. He was never Trumpy. I don't know why Devin Nunes ever vouched for this guy, but like Devin, I think he's a national treasure.
What's going to happen with Nunes? What's going to happen with Nunes and also Laura Trump? Where do they go?
Well, Laura, she's coming back here. She's running for Senate. I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna say it every day until the cows come home. Tom Tillis's ass is gone. I'm sick of this guy.
Because there was rumors that she would.
I'm not saying she agreed to
Rubio's
it.
Seat.
I'm just saying
seat in Florida, Rich.
That would be a mistake.
Okay.
Because I'm going to say this. There are other people who can take that seat in Florida and take it pretty easily. Laura, you sound like you're from North Carolina. You look like you're from North Carolina. There aren't many other people who can take this seat from Tom Tillis the way that you could come in here and just goodbye, Tommy. Tom Tillis has now another never Trumper, has had to watch Donald Trump not once but twice win his state by a margin he's never touched. Never touched. Tillis squeaks by with the skin of his you-know-what. Like, okay, he barely wins when he wins. And this time, it may be over for him. It will be if Laura comes back and runs here. Again, there's a bunch of people who are viable, good, solid people who could run in Florida and win it easily. North Carolina is a little bit more difficult to win. It's a little bit more tricky. She's very likable. I don't know if you guys have ever met Laura Trump or
no, I haven't.
Everyone I know who has, they just think the world of her. They think she's such a like. Just like some people are like nice to be around.
All right,
and I can't tell you how many people have told me that about her.
Here's my final question, because I don't want your wife over to my house. What happens to the following people who went to prison in the Trump orbit because they knew Trump? What happens to Paul Manafort, Papadopoulos, Peter Navarro, Bannon, Flynn? How does he make those people whole in your mind? And should he do something with them or ignore them, let them go, disappear? Like, what's your take on these people who are full-on MAGA, who went down for him into prison?
That's what, I mean, well, this is where I come from on this. This is look, the bottom line is, look at what Joe Biden just did for his son. It was the biggest, act of hypocrisy I've ever seen, any of us have ever seen. And so who gives a damn if you help these people? What are you worried about? CNN? Running stories about Papa G again? Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, they're done. I mean, at this point, folks, they're done. Like MSNBC, the only way they're probably going to survive is if Elon Musk buys them and turns it into a MAGA network.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a moment of opportunity. And I don't know that there's going to be another one like this again in my life, in any of our lifetimes. People have had it. They weighed it all. He's got 91 more felony counts than John Gotti and the Black-Handed Death serial killer put together in that district. Okay. And he's got this one calling him a rapist, right? He's a Russian asset. He's the greatest threat to democracy. His friend, who is a Nazi, by the way, at Madison Square Garden, said that Puerto Rico's a floating island of trash. I mean, the stuff they threw at this guy, and yet the American people said, yeah, so what?
Is he the Teflon Don at this point?
He's the GOAT. This guy's the GOAT. Donald Trump is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. I don't know, even if you hate him, how you could say he's not. I mean, talking to people over the last 2 years, roughly, about Donald Trump and Donald Trump coming back to the White House has been the most incredible thing I've ever done in my life. These people, if you listen as a pollster and stop talking, right? Like that's the problem with everyone in my industry. But I like to talk. I'm a jabberjaw, but like when it comes time to do your job, you're supposed to shut the hell up and listen. And they don't even know how to do that anymore. And the people would have told you like everything you needed to know about why they wanted him back. And this is like lost on everybody that this is the greatest political comeback in ever. I mean, I even think back to antiquity, and I think to myself, even those comebacks weren't as goated because you could just raise an army and come back. You know what I mean? And as long as you were smarter militarily than the other guy. Yeah. Our modern system of information warfare is so rigged against someone like Donald Trump. It is a miracle that he was able to do what he did.
You might have stumbled onto it. It may have been a miracle. Rich Baris, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest pollsters of all time out of the great state of New Jersey, the boroughs, the great heavyweight champion of pollsters. He'll be back. We're going to try to get an hour out of his wife next time. We're working on borrowed time. He's got a Christmas tree to put up. He's got children. It's a full-fledged war down there. We're in the Carolinas. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. Rich Baris, one time.
Right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it as always. See you soon. All the best.
All the best.
Right.
And Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas, Rich.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
All right. And we are back. Cool.
Okay.
It's always fun with Rich, man.
It is fun. We're on borrowed time with his wife, though. I think she said 30 minutes and went a little long, so I'm sorry.
I don't think he had the same pressure as he's had through the season. I mean, now it's like he has a normal life that he can get back to. But
okay. Well, maybe we can get an hour out of her next time. We'll get a full hour with Rich.
Well, let me ask her.
And why don't you ask her? I'm sorry to get my head ripped off.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You ask her, bro.
maybe it's the approach.
I'm groveling, and maybe you could grovel better than me, but we'll try. Anyway, let's get back to the news because we got a million freaking stories here, lightning speed we got to do, plus the super chats or whatever else you got going on there. What do you got?
No, I definitely have super chats. Okay, well, the biggest story that went down and is already over is South Korea.
They say it's over, but there might be some reverberations. This is the craziest story of the month. It kind of came out of nowhere, Eric, right?
It did, but not completely surprising to me. And I'll tell you why. I know you love my shocking, but not surprising. One of the lawyers who I have on quite a bit, his name is Jeff. He's known as Legal Vices. He is an expat. He lives in South Korea, and he's lived there for 30 years. And he has told me that South Korea has a problem that he foresees happening here. And that's every time there's a change in the administration, the last guy gets arrested.
Sounds
so
familiar.
they've been literally doing that for decades now.
Wow.
And I just am going,
What part
I
of
wonder-
democracy don't they understand?
I don't know, but it's like, look, they're how far apart are they from North Korea? It is.
I
a
don't
similar
know. It sounds
culture.
very North Korean.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm just saying, seeing this from South Korea, hearing him talk about that, my first thought was, what does that mean for him? You know, I don't know if I'd want to be living there right now.
It's not Japan, is it, Eric? Because people compare the two as being similar, but they're not.
No,
there's no North Japan.
No.
There's no North Japan, bro.
Well, and also Korea has the reputation of being the Irish of Asia.
Yeah. Well, and North Korea definitely saber rattling in the past 2 months now, because Trump is, whether he's coming back or not, they may be trying to hurry up and do something before he does come back now.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are. I mean, look at Russia, you know, they're pressing hard.
Taiwan,
everything. But I love your Christmas armistice idea, but you know, maybe Thanksgiving would have been better all the way through.
I don't know. It's just a vague idea.
Cool down.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's been done before historically. We're talking about Russia versus Ukraine having an armistice up until January 20th.
This reminds me. Did you see that about Trump offering to make Canada the 51st state?
Well, like I said, these threats are going to come to the UK as well. Hopefully for our UK followers, Trump is going to be doing this type of diplomacy where it's nice guy first, which is what happened with Trudeau, where it's jocular, but yet threatening. And I think he's going to do that with this mutt of a prime minister over there, the same thing he did with Trudeau. Look for that guy to come to the United States, the British Prime Minister Stamer, or the SS guy, to come here and get the Trump treatment next. I think he's going to do the same thing to him.
Well, you know what I love about it is I love his making that statement because he illustrated something that people, I don't think they realize. Justin Trudeau is not a peer of Donald Trump. We have 3 states alone that all have a bigger economy than Canada.
Yeah.
So it's not comparable.
Well, Canada is one of them, and Newsom is a peer of Trudeau.
I mean, California is.
California is one of them, and he is a WEF peer of Trudeau. The two of them are almost mirror images of themselves.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. But I love the angle of this is your place. Yeah, we talk to you and we get along and all that, but let's not forget where we are.
Yeah,
I'm the big dog here. You're
well,
he's
going to have to do it with Scheinbaum down in Mexico, and it kills me to say that Scheinbaum is the president of Mexico. I sound like a nut, but her name is Scheinbaum, and she's the president of Mexico. As crazy as that sounds, he may have to have a sit down with that bitch and straighten her
she's
out.
already making moves. I just interviewed somebody who ran with the cartels. Don't ask. It's very weird, but he's still wired in, and apparently all kinds of shit is happening down in Mexico. Cartels are pulling leadership out. They're going after different people. They are terrified. So he's not even in office, and you're seeing a lot of movement on the ground.
All right, what else you got over there? Yeah, Hopper.
Okay, well, that was the biggest one. We've got the story about Scott Presler.
Yeah, what is the story with him? Is it just a puff piece about him being a long-haired gay Republican? I don't understand the angle.
Yeah, I mean, if you read it, this is the friendliest press I've ever seen a Republican get. I mean, a long-haired
gay giant. I've never seen that in a headline before.
No, and he was like, "Oh gosh, that's me." That's pretty funny, but I mean, he deserves a lot of kudos for sure. I would like to see. I think we've talked about it before. What do we do with Scott Presler?
I don't know.
I would like to see him go around and become part of the Republican National Committee and train people. Like you can have the Scott Presler clinics, and could there be a Scott Presler in Arizona?
An entire gay armada of
they don't have to be gay.
You're saying they all have to be gay and long hair and very tall to mirror image the success of Scott Presler. But you're saying they don't have to be gay. I'm sorry.
No. We're going to be. We offer diversity. Some can be straight.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a great idea. I'll second that.
And I mean, he has done. He's shown how to bootstrap the operation.
Yeah.
How to go out. One thing
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
One thing I love too is, did you see that response he said to the reporter? I thought it was great because he interjects the word peacefully in everything he says. He's like, we need to peacefully take them down and peacefully get them out of it peacefully.
That's cool.
And
that's cool.
This reporter goes, I notice you keep saying, peacefully. Well, why are you doing it? He said, I'm doing that for people like you.
Yeah. So you don't misquote me.
Exactly. And those touches, I think, are super important. And he can train people like, here is how I can approach it. Because look, this guy is not the normal person you would expect to go hang out in rural areas, knocking on doors and leading, Butler County and other places. It's like, okay, cool. He's done a great job. So
okay, what else you got? That's a good one. That's a good one.
A mailbox robbery in California.
Oh yeah, what's this? This is really weird. They literally went in there, stole every single ballot. I don't know if there's a little photo of the box, but they assaulted or had a weapon against the mailman who was there. This is in Placentia. This is in Orange County. There was a lot of contentious races down there, so they stole the ballots. The mail-in
ballots. That is a horrible name. It's one letter off of something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's really an area that is pro-life. I just want to say, I don't put that in there, but I think that's where Hunley was going with that. So they stole the ballots. I think the guy had a weapon from the mailman. I'm not really sure what happened here, but they're investigating that. Okay, let's move on from that story. That was a good one.
Well, we'll just hang out with California.
What do you got?
You've got this article here that Californians need protection from Gavin Newsom, not from Donald Trump.
Okay, so Gavin Newsom has said he's going to fortify the state of California against Trump. Hundreds of millions of dollars requested by Gavin Newsom to lawyer up the state so that every single illegal alien will have legal representation to fight in court against deportations and other battles against Trump from the state itself, that this would become the Alamo, the state itself. And nobody knows what this means. The state is $1 billion or $2 billion in the red. They don't really have these millions of dollars floating around for this, but it's a one-party state, as Rich pointed out. Newsom just bought a $9 million mansion in Northern California. He's apparently got money, but the state is buried financially, and Trump is not going to be writing a check very quickly for the state of California. So we'll see how that turns out.
All right. Staying in California, we've got this arcade.
All right. This is the that arcade. Yeah, this is not. These are two stories I wanted to cover. The two separate stories. One is this arcade owner. This is really crazy in San Bernardino. 18 men broke into his arcade. He's, a gaming store in San Bernardino, and through the roof, came in through a attic thing, next door was a beauty salon or whatever. 18 men. They robbed every single thing in the store. Games, they were dragging out those giant games that you sit down and play in an arcade. The guy comes in, everything's been stolen. The cameras, the security camera, everything. It comes in, the place is completely trashed. And he says to the police, I know where the stuff is and who did it. And the police go, who? He goes, they did it. And he points to the backyard of his store where there's a homeless encampment with all his stuff. And the police go, we can't do anything about that. And he goes, what? He goes, yeah, we just can't go in there and take your stuff. And the police leave. He goes in himself and wreaks holy terror on the homeless camp, takes back his stuff, tears down their encampment, and reconfiscates his own stolen belongings, Eric. That's why the story was interesting. The hands off by the sheriff's department shocked him, and then he had to go full Thor, or as he said, Hulk, on the homeless encampment and take them back.
And you know what? The sheriffs told him to do that because, in my opinion, when you say, well, we can't do anything about it, it's like, oh, cool. So I can. I could do whatever the hell I want, you sons of bitches.
No, I've had those conversations myself. Now, that other story will be your next Netflix crime special, Eric. This will be something you're going to watch on Netflix a year and a half from now. This woman, she's like 30 years old, flies from Hawaii to make a connecting flight in LA to go to New York to have Thanksgiving dinner with relatives who live in New York. On the plane, somewhere on the plane, is her ex-boyfriend, who is her ex, but they're still friendly, and he's making a connecting flight to go have dinner with her and her relatives because he knows them all being her ex. So they're friendlies. She misses her connecting flight, not for any failure of her own, but because the plane gets in too late for her to make it to the terminal 17 miles away, which is like Dallas and LAX. This happens all the time. So there's footage of her getting on a subway in LA, going downtown and going around, different security cameras pick her up, and they can't find her. This is from Thanksgiving. So the LAPD gets involved. The family shows up from Hawaii. Her cell phone has incredibly bizarre text messages on it and then goes dead. And the father shows up. The family shows up. They make photos. They're passing them out, trying to find the daughter. Where is she? She never made the connecting flight to New York and has disappeared. The phone's gone dead, and she's got weird text messages on the phone. The father goes to the top floor of the LAX parking lot tower where the cars are, and after a week of looking for her with a family, jumps off the roof onto his own head, committing harry-carry. Okay, so that's the father. She's now seen going into Mexico on foot this past week. LAPD says they've got photos of her crossing the border with her own luggage on foot into Tijuana. They refused to go down and get her because it's Mexico. And they told her family she did this on her own. She wanted to cut ties with you. And the family's just going berserk. They're just gone ballistic, saying this is untrue. You got to tell us where she is. The LAPD has said, we're done with this. We have nothing, no jurisdiction, not our problem. That's where we are with this story. Everybody's gone crazy over this story in LA. And it's become a national story now, to be honest with you. This is going to end up being a Netflix special, I predict.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, just flat out weird.
Weird. All right. I want to finally cover a story that I've meant to cover for the past two shows, and we've never gotten to it because it's just the craziest damn story. And it's about that freaking banana.
Yeah, what is the deal with this thing?
Well, we did a show on the CIA and the art world or whatever. So
yeah,
some asshole comedian or whatever artist came up with this idea that his art was to take a banana, duct tape it against the wall, and called it comedian. That was the name of it.
Okay.
Then some crypto bro, I think it was a crypto bro. But anyway, somebody who has more money than sense, he's a billionaire, paid $6.2 million for this damn banana with the duct tape and ate it. So this is the artist here.
This is getting weirder.
Yeah, this is the artist here.
Well, he's lucky.
Yeah, and this is the guy who bought it.
Okay, that's weird.
And this is literally, where it was put up on auction. It was on the wall. It's just ludicrous. And the whole concept supposedly is making fun of the whole principle of our, whatever, it's subjective, people paying the money. Well, it gets further. The vendor who sold the banana, they tracked him down.
Okay.
And he started to weep, saying, I make pennies. I make pennies. Oh my God.
That's right.
And so now the guy who bought the damn thing is going to buy 100,000 bananas from the guy's stand and supposedly distribute them to the world.
Brilliant.
So the story is completely freaking bananas.
It is bananas. Oh my God. Yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today. What a weird story. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's get some super chats. Because,
wow, that is weird, man.
But I've been wanting to cover it.
I saw it out of the corner of my mind, but I didn't think anything of it other than what you just said. But now you've added another dimension to it.
Yes, and it won't quit. Pamela Clifton, happy Tuesday, guys. Happy Tuesday, Pamela. Thank you very much. Shane Culkin, McKelly's brother, I guess. I adore this channel. Keep it up. Love your continued work with Mr. Groden.
Yeah, just so you know, for people, again, for the 9 millionth time, in the description of the episode we just did with Bob Groden is the email address of his wife, who can fulfill your orders for his books and products. You merely have to email his wife, Janet. They have a warehouse filled, or storage space probably, filled with stuff, and they will fulfill it. We have no connection to it. Forget about Amazon. Forget about eBay. Just email his wife, Janet, which is in the description of, not this episode, the one with Groden that we just did. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
And Pamela, again, no, Hunter should appear and answer questions.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, maybe he'll go on the run. Maybe it'll be a manhunt.
Could be. It'd be pretty easy to find with the Secret Service entourage.
Well, he refused the last time. Remember, he refused to go in and talk.
Yeah, but now they can charge him. Sorry, no jeopardy.
Right.
So do it. Yeah, give him the Bannon.
I'm going full Bannon on this one. I'm going the full Bannon.
I also liked what Tim Pool said. I'd like to see Merrick Garland spend 4 months in there.
Absolutely. Everybody gets 6 months.
Good for me. J6, all have served enough time. Blanket pardon.
Thanks, Pokey. I agree with Pokey. But that's
of course
a
you
good
do.
one. No, I said that before I saw Pokey's, but I didn't hide it. I'm just saying I'm a full pardon blanket.
Yeah, I know. We've got the separate parts, and this is great. It's something people can debate about.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm right, but whatever. Dick Dickerson gifted 10 America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you, Dick, very much. Al Gonzalez comes in with a prediction: acquittal for Penny.
Wow.
Massive but not complete pardons for J6.
Wow.
That's kind of where I am. Adams cooperates with Homan on criminal migrant deportations with backing from police unions. Yes, Adams came out.
Cooperates with Homan.
Yes.
Criminal migrant deportations and backing from police unions. Except there's an entire hotel now owned by the Pakistanis that they're paying to house all these illegal aliens in.
Well, I think Adams is shifting because he just had a press conference, I think it was today, saying I'm 100% behind Homan. I don't care what the Democrats say.
Hochul said she will call the ICE. The governor said yesterday.
Well, she flipped. She
flipped also, Al.
Well, I like that. I like it.
Is Al predicting this or is he supporting this? Massive, but
I think he was trying to fit everything in there.
Are those predictions or opinions?
I think he's supporting me. Massive, but not complete. Because
he could be predicting massive, but not complete.
It could be. Well, he said predictions.
Predictions. Yeah, predictions.
But I don't know if everything is a prediction.
Right. That's what I'm asking. I don't know either. This is going to be a long night trying to figure this out all night.
We'll somehow survive. Stephen McMahon, do you think you could pardon Ruth Payne for everything she might ever have done?
I mean, Biden could pardon her. Why doesn't Biden pardon Ruth Payne, let alone, don't put it on Trump's watch. I think Biden could pardon her, and posthumously Michael Payne, her evil Bell helicopter husband.
Could be. I mean, that's a weird one. You can't really pardon him because he doesn't have anything. He's never been convicted.
Right. But you could give a blanket pardon to someone who's not convicted, right? I mean, Nixon wasn't convicted. He did a preemptive pardon on Nixon.
Well, true, but you can't be convicted after death. I don't believe. That's why Lee Harvey Oswald's never been to trial. You can't try a person. He's not there. Habeas corpus, right?
Well, he had a corpus, but they took the gun and ran the fingerprints off of his corpus. Go on. I'm sorry. Sorry to diverge into that.
That's true. Heather Whatever says, haha, thank you. I don't know what point, but we've been hilarious tonight. So
is that true? Right. Is that true?
I have no idea. Scott Binben got my siblings' TVs in Prescott, Arizona.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. Everybody on Thanksgiving could have been at their houses visiting the family, getting us more subscriptions. And we forgot to ask about that.
There's a cowboy picture that was just made with Thomas Jane was the star of it, but it's also got Armie Hammer coming back to the fold of Hollywood to work on some indies. This is Dallas's movie, Bernier, I think his name is, and it's also got William H. Macy in it. And the odd thing is, they just got back from shooting, and it was in Prescott.
Well, you know what? We have somebody who would like to talk to people about us and the show and what they should do.
Hey, everybody. It's your friend Al. And I just want to tell you that everybody on this podcast is a real straight shooter. And when it comes to having the information, they're right on the mark every time. You should give them a subscription because they were behind me the entire time through all of my drama. Lord knows they wouldn't stand in front of me.
That was insane. Well, I've also heard that Rust, which is not a very good movie, is also one of the best looking movies that people have ever seen in terms of cinematography, oddly enough.
Oh, she was very, very talented.
Yeah. It's a beautifully shot movie, and it shot a beautiful person at the same time. So it's both. Sad.
Anyway, why not have some fun with that?
That's funny. That's really funny.
Go ahead, hit that subscribe. If the bell's not doing, listen to Alec. Okay.
Well, in the docuseries Bad Vegan, the restaurant that she has is frequented by someone she has a crush on, and that's Alec Baldwin. And
yeah,
Alec
that was before he was with Hilaria. And
well, he meets Hilaria in the vegan restaurant, and the girl who's the bad vegan is crushed because she wanted him, and then hooks up with a guy who's following Alec Baldwin on Twitter and tweeting back and forth with Alec Baldwin. See Bad Vegan. It's crazy. That's all I can tell you. It's on Netflix.
I know. I've got to get through it so I can interview her because
yeah, that's perfect for you. She's batshit crazy. That chick is nuts.
Okay. All right. Life of Brian. The right needs to get that the fight against institutions, particularly law and education, is a domestic Cold War, and wage it as such.
Yeah, there was a professor on, I forget this guy, whoever this professor was, an older gentleman. I think he was on, I want to say with Mark Levin or someone, but he was talking about how you have to go after these institutions, and he was at Stanford. Oh, he was on with Victor Davis Hanson, and Hanson and him were having a conversation about the institutions, I think, and they have got to be savaged somehow because that's where the germ of all this stuff started.
All right, got some Rumble rants here, and I think we're probably, I don't know what we're talking about. Saying, let me be clear, no, twice from Flea Speech.
Okay, so it's no, so it's straight up no.
Right. It's probably, I'm guessing at the time it was about Hunter Biden and letting him walk away.
Okay. So he's saying no.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're going to say no, remind us what it is, because we've asked a lot of questions today.
Right. You've got to put in, because we don't always get to the super chats or rants immediately, but I'm guessing. PJ Park JD says, not guilty. The unlawful prosecution of U.S. Senator Ted Stevens should be required reading in every high school civics class.
That's a good one.
I have not read that yet, but I'll have to check that out. And then Amdrum 12 said, mainly a complete pardon for J6ers. Let the Antifa Sixers fall through the cracks. Penny needs full acquittal. Yes, go after Garland and Mayorkas.
Okay, Mayorkas. Yeah, well, this guy's on my page, so I love this guy, whatever his name is, Parks and Recreation. I'm for him.
Okay. Sean Lucan says, great show, guys. Thank you. And then went and gifted 20 America's Untold Stories memberships. Golden Gaming says, why does a Hunter stream have 24 election banner? Because I don't know, anything relating to the election or that we talk about is going to stir up YouTube's. That's a badge of honor. It's like all of our JFK is always decorated with an entry from either Encyclopedia Britannica or AI generated. So I don't think we'd have a show without some sort of informational guidance.
Yeah, they have one now on the election now. They have an election one. Anytime we talk about the election, some banner goes up. You talk about anything, a banner goes up, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of banners. They want people directed to either the Encyclopedia Britannica or Wikipedia.
100%. By the way, there's a lot of people watching on X. That might be because of Rich. I'm not sure.
Well, he's got a bigger following than we do. That's for sure.
Well, absolutely, and deservedly. But those of you who are on X, if you like this, you might want to follow us. I'm at Hunley Eric. Mark's at Lord Buckley. No E in Buckley. And I don't usually block, and Mark may or may not block you.
I blocked one person this week, and it was a financial pleasure to block that person. Some cat from England. I don't know what was going on with this guy, but he had to go.
Somebody already reached out to me saying, why did Mark block me?
Yeah, this guy had to go. I haven't blocked anyone in a long time, but this guy had to go. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
All right. K-Dog, is there a Trump-type candidate in Canada that can win?
I don't know. I'm not up there. That's what you got to find. Whoever that guy is, there's got to be a Trump of every country.
Well, this is...
who's the Trump of England? Is it Farage or...
He was, but not anymore. But David March would be the guy you would ask. David March is...
Here's this guy, David March. What about him?
I don't know. Maybe he could run, but he's saying, don't annex Canada unless you want more D senators. Biden doesn't need a pardon. He's too mentally gone, according to the special counsel report. His brother does.
His brother doesn't have a special counsel report, but his brother could go to jail.
Absolutely. And there's others, others are involved.
Yeah.
Dick Dickerson, love your Rod Serling voice on the Conspiracy Channel. Thank you.
Sterling.
Better. I didn't know that. Cannibal Cowboy.
That's funny.
Let's see. Clifton Moberg. Sorry. What's history of payment for presidential pardons?
Early on, there's quite a bit of history. So in the era when they were able to literally line up for appointments, before Teddy Roosevelt, I think they had the pay system where you literally lined up after the guy was in office for a job. That was a whole different system back then.
Wow. 6-Man Films. Mark, do you plan a JFK episode about Kerry Thornley? I remember he seemed like an odd guy who was friends with Oswald.
Well, that's not going to happen. So no.
There wouldn't be enough material, right?
He's Kerry Thornley. It's just nobody.
Okay. Right.
I mean, in the giant scheme of things, yeah, there's not enough material on Kerry Thornley. Nor is he of any value other than another deep state operative.
Okay. On that note, people were asking me on the grill stream if we're going to be doing any more on Oswald, and we probably will be doing. We did Oswald in Japan, and we're going to be doing other. Oswald
no, absolutely,
pieces.
Absolutely. Okay, so the deadline's passed for them to get membership now, or
I don't know. I tried to close it out. It's not refreshing, but some people had some questions out there on locals. So I'll run it by you. Should we leave it open for another day? And
we can't.
For locals?
Why don't you just take the people who are in there and try to deal with them that are in there already, the ones who had technical problems?
Well, that's the thing. I've asked them to contact support. I haven't heard from our support who I reached out to confirm.
You're saying because of the holidays, or? Well, I would say who's ever in that chat over there, by the time you put the deadline down, that's it. And then you could work it out to get them in there after the fact.
Yeah. Okay.
But there seem to be people over there who had if you had a technical issue, Eric should vouch for you and put you in there.
Yeah. Well, they'll have comments that I can always see.
Yeah. You can see the time of the comment, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I think you were pretty emphatic about the deadline.
Yeah. I tried to be very clear.
Yeah.
So, all right. Joseph Kane said, thank you, gentlemen. So, thank you, gentlemen. So entertaining as always. Thank you. Gunface 11. No blanket pardons. Once the feds and the crowd are exposed, they'll use the corrupt DC courts to get off.
I don't follow that part, but okay. That's his first statement, is no blanket pardons.
Okay.
So he agrees with Hunley.
Yeah. Because of course that's the right answer, which we all understand. All right. So we are, speaking of locals, going to head over to locals. There have been a bunch of new people who have joined locals.
Oh, very nice.
Week.
Very
So
nice. Very nice.
Look forward to seeing them over here.
In a couple of, right now, right? We're going to go over there.
Yeah, we're going to head over there.
Right.
We have a banner that shows just special for special folks who enjoy this. And at locals, we will continue the discussion. We'll see you momentarily.
Oh, wow. I better get ready. I'm going to go.